Okay, it's gonna be a smaller project scale than the first episode because I think this is a stupid idea, but it's something I want to do. So why is it stupid? It's because Huion is holding an art competition, and this art competition is based off a fantasy world with Huion in it. And I think it's stupid because I know I'm not gonna win, but I see art competition and I just want to join. I've done like 7 or 8 art competition at this point. I've gone nowhere close to the top. Um, so the prompt is it's a vast world filled with countless mountains, forests, deserts, canyons, caves, and mysterious creatures. Different races with different culture establish their own kingdoms. If you follow a caravan across the continent, you'll see the distinctive cities of different kingdoms. They reflect the culture and belief of the kingdoms. Some of them believe their magic comes from the stars, so their palaces are decorated with flowing stars. Some kingdoms worship fire, and their clothes and architecture are in red. Huion is holding a drawing contest that we would like artists to imagine what if Huion appeared in a fantasy world. Artists can create their own versions of unique creatures, environments, and events based on this fantasy world. You may see Huion's flag flying on the capital, on a merchant's wagon that goes through the wilderness, or on a festival that celebrates summer. Leon, the mascot of Huion, is a legendary hero who has left his mark on history. Oh my god, that told me nothing. I know. Okay, let me explain why that tells me nothing. It's because these are 3 or 4 very distinct types of worlds. And by that, I mean there's nothing really linking them together between A, B, and C. There's no like type of magic or environment or culture that links them together. So I got really nothing to work off. All I know is fantasy. What can I do with fantasy? Anyway, I don't know how I'm gonna make a 4K thing with almost no prompt, but I'm gonna try my best. I have an idea. Um, Whenever I think of these like fantasy worlds, I always think of a blonde-haired girl with shoulder-length hair, and that's really all I've got to go off of. Peow. You know, stupid. When I do these recordings, I have to wear a shirt because nobody wants to see me naked. And I'm wearing a collar shirt now because I want to look good. So yeah. Anyway, let's talk about this project. I have drawn a girl. You can see my girl here. Ooh. Yeah, I don't really. What does fantasy mean to you and me? To me means not what we have right now, and that means the fantasy is still technically within our world. And just go for a hike, see the mountains, see all that shit. So it's really hard for me to incorporate the idea of fantasy into this because I don't know. So maybe I'll just do weird colors, small like butterflies, a glow blue. I'll do like a basic city backdrop behind it. But for the most part, this is what I've done. It's a girl blowing hair. And she's got little elf ears because fantasy. You can tell I'm struggling here, but I think once I get the vision, this will look pretty good. All things considered, this is going to be difficult. I'll try my best. So I'm gonna be honest. The theme is fantasy, and I am really just banging my head against the wall about what to do with fantasy. I think what we've got right here, add video right here, is not too bad, but it is. I'm afraid I'm gonna ruin it. Let's be honest. God, why just fantasy with no other prompt? Means nothing to me. Yeah, I'm just my little personal hell. I could just not do this project, but I'm not gonna. I've been working on it for about an hour and a half. Insert picture here. I think I got a lighting right. And while I was doing this, I was thinking, why do I imagine a girl with short yellow hair in a fantasy world? And it's because of Harry Potter. Well, technically, Hermione Granger is blonde. I don't know, brunette. But because I'm an Asian, obviously, as you can tell. So when I was younger, I could not tell a difference. So I think in my head, I always imagined her like lighter hair color, and like Emma Watson to some extent technically has blonde hair. So yeah, with that thought in mind, I might do something a bit Harry Potter themed. Fantasy is a stupid topic. I think that's just the whole premise of this video. Like me trying to cobble together anything somewhat related to fantasy with very little success. So now the fantasy goes from blonde haired chick to magic blonde haired chick. So, catch you later. So I just watched a video called Top 100 CG Renders from the Internet's Biggest CG Challenge, Infinite Journeys. So in this video, it just showcased like 100 CG, obviously, renderings of just anything with the idea of you have this window to see the outside world and you're going on a journey. So a lot of it is like, like a soldier going through war, or imagine yourself in like a sci-fi world. And it just felt so creative. Like there were color palettes and themes and ideas, and like whales breaking through clouds and soldiers and robots and inhuman space astronaut creatures and all that. It was just so much. And I wouldn't say it's very inspiring. I want to do a lot better on what I've done so far. Try to like capture that vibe. But at the same time, it makes me feel like what I've done is just not enough. I really gotta go ham on this background, because I've done the foreground, it's fine, but it's not really capturing that feeling. Like if I put this into any competition, into anything, it's not good enough. I'm not telling a story. I'm not pushing the medium. I'm not doing anything. This is just me going through the motions, and just I'm kind of disappointed in myself. I'll try my best and really try on this background. So yeah, I felt like this episode had a really good story. It was building up. So we started off with, I thought the idea of fantasy is stupid. Then it went on to, I have no idea what to do. And you get, I'm just going with the flow, and like the build up, something bad's gonna happen. Then you get that climax where I'm like, I am so disappointed in how little effort I'm doing, and I should be doing more. So that was my last session, and now we're here. But I took a break, gave myself time to reflect on what I wanted to do, how much more effort I want to put into it. And it's not the resolution that anyone is expecting. Normally, the resolution is like, I put in the effort, I'm so proud of myself, I have learned from my mistakes. But no, fantasy is whatever. It is really whatever. It's not like what I was planning on doing was not fantasy enough. It's not like what changes I've made is more fantasy. Fantasy is fantasy. Fantasy is whatever you can make up with your mind. That is the definition of fantasy. Fantasy is like a futuristic world full of robots and no humans. It's also a world where everything is flooded, or it could be in space, or it could be underground. It is literally whatever you want. You can't add more fantasy, you can't add less fantasy, because everything is fantasy. Your life is fantasy. You go on a journey tomorrow, that's fantasy. You go to work tomorrow and you start like doing anything you want, that's fantasy. Everything is fantasy. If you live your life in a way where you actually want to live your life, that is fantasy. So there's no such thing as more fantasy or less fantasy in a piece of artwork. For art, it's just what emotions you want to put on the paper, what story you want to tell. Well, that was a bit of a rant. Yeah, I'm pretty happy with what I've done, but it could be better. Hopefully, I don't think I'm going to win this competition. I never intended to come in winning. See whatever happens. Thanks for watching the video. If you made it this far, like, comment, and subscribe. And have a good day.